Hello, I'm aware that we have a test coming up, and some of you were gone because you were playing soccer or volleyball. And as of this recording time, I do not know the results of those games. So I hope that you volleyball ladies and soccer girls were successful in your games against Wapato. At any rate, this video should help you prepare. Property is anything that can describe a substance, and I can obviously talk a lot faster than I can type. So a specific example of a property a substance could have would be color. I only asked for one, but there's mass, volume, density, lots of things really. A characteristic property is useful for identifying a substance. So there you go. Anything that helps identify a substance is a characteristic property. And this should be in your journal. A property that is characteristic, there are quite a few. Let's go with density. And that is because a pure substance will always have the same density. I could say a lot more about that, but that's all I need to say right now. A property that is not characteristic, I'm going to go with mass. Okay, and so you could have any amount of a substance. So just knowing that you have 10 grams of something, you could have 10 grams of gold, you could have 10 grams of water. Knowing the mass isn't helpful. So knowing mass doesn't narrow things down. Define physical property. So a physical property is a property that can be measured without doing a chemical reaction. Most of the properties that you're familiar with are actually physical property. So mass, volume, density, those are all examples. So let's just put mass down as a property. But if you want to put volume or density or color, those are all good options too. Okay, chemical property describes how a substance will or won't react. And so there are quite a few here. Flammability, will it burn or not? How does it respond to acid? Okay. I could put quite a few more down, but I'll just kind of leave it at that. What does it do with phenolphthalein? Turns pink with phenolphthalein. That's one. All right, this is pretty straightforward. Mass cannot be created or destroyed. And just because this is a chemistry class, I will add in a chemical reaction to this. And there we go. All right, so you are a chemist. You're trying to break down a metal into simpler substances. You're able to burn the metal and collect ash from it. How would you test to see if the ash is a simpler substance than the original metal? You would weigh it. Okay. And what would you see if it is not a simpler substance? Okay, if it is not a simpler substance, it would weigh more than the metal. And it turns out that if you burn metals and weigh the ash, in fact, it does weigh more than the metal that you started with. So there you go. Okay, so an element historically, please explain what the term element has meant historically. An element has meant the product, or maybe products, you get from breaking a substance down into its parts. Okay, so you break it down, you get a simpler substance. You break it down, you get simpler substances, and then finally you get something you can't break down anymore. Okay, so we could say it is the simplest substance possible, one that can't be separated any further. So quite a few things there that you could say. So why were chemists several hundred years ago unsure if everything on their list of elements was really an element? Chemists didn't know if some of those materials, some of the things on their list, to be broken down with a new technology. And in fact, quite a few of them could be, and quite a few of them were. So they knew that their list of elements was always subject to change if someone learned, oh, hey, that's one thing that we thought was an element. But guess what? I just broke it down. All right. 11 we kind of handled earlier. How would you know if the chemical reaction has produced a simpler substance? And it would weigh less than the original substance. All right. So that just leaves us with number 12. What takes place in a chemical reaction? So new substances are formed from, I don't know, new substances are formed that have new properties than the original substances. Okay, so provide at least 2 examples of a chemical change. So if you burn paper, okay, is a chemical change. Evidence is heat and light. And I'll just semicolon this one. Vinegar plus baking soda is a chemical reaction. And in this one, evidence is bubbles. Let's just do one last one. Sodium hydroxide plus phenolphthalein. And evidence is color change. One more last one. All right, so baking cookies, and evidence is a new smell plus color change. Okay, so I only asked for 2 in the test. I just gave you 4. So yeah, lots of things to choose from. Good luck.